how do I set out finding the right coach for me? And the challenge here in setting a vision, I was discussing around career goals with Desola the other day about, sometimes you might know, for example, what your short-term plan is, but in terms of putting that in the frame of, where you want to be in the next 5 years, next 10 years, it's not always visible, right? So how can a coach help me realize what I want to do and what goals I should be setting? Because I think that's definitely a starting point in knowing where you want to head before you even get out. But if I don't know where I'm heading, how can a coach help me find that target?
Yeah. So sometimes it may not be like a super obvious, tangible thing like a job role. It may not be that. It might just be that actually what you're looking at is the kind of lifestyle that you want and the kind of things that you want in your, from life, and that actually career-wise, you're then able to find something that works with that lifestyle, because, you've got kids and things, so that's got to fit in and stuff like that. So the coaching methodologies that I use, we look at what's important to you as a human. We look at what you find, we call them your values, what's important to you, what things do you live by, what and in some ways we say, what would your ideal life be in 5 years time, vision that, imagine that, and then we'll fill in the gaps for it. So sometimes it can be that someone's headed for a particular role or something they want, but what we tend to find when that's the case is that actually they're going for the role, but they might be going for it for the salary, the kudos, something they've always just wanted, and actually it might not be right. Whereas I come at it from a point of view of what lifestyle do you want, what do you want to be doing, not literally, but as in what kind of how much time do you want to be spending on things, how much energy do you want to put into stuff, what kind of a house do you want to live in, what kind of a lifestyle do you want, how much time do you want with your kids, do you what do you want to be doing? And we look at it that way, and then that's your foundational work, and then you build the other stuff up to create that life. Because 5 to 10 years time, we don't know what's going to come along the way.
But exactly.
If you've got a clear idea of what you want, there might be a job role that comes up that you wouldn't have considered before, that you think, well, actually, hang on, that might seem sideways, but that's actually going to get me closer to what I really want than perhaps the obvious one would.
But that makes a lot of sense, and it does put things into perspective for me personally, because it's all of those things. And one tangible example was around cars, because I always liked a particular kind of brand. I wouldn't name it here, but I held that dream for a long time, and just sat on the back burner. It wasn't something I could afford to do immediately, because there was all sorts of constraints. But if I had put that to say, well, my job would unlock this for me, because then it fits in with my value this way, then it makes sense. And it starts to open up that perspective to say, well, right, if you want to head this way, this is what it means to you, and this is the activity that will facilitate that happening. So I think that's a really, really good point.
That's exactly it. And the nice part is that when we're looking at values and things that are important to people, above values sits what we call our capabilities and skills. Above that sits our behaviors, what we're actually doing and saying, and above that sits our environment. When all of those things are in line, we feel good. We feel like everything's going the way we want it to. We're happy in our work. We're happy with what we're doing, or whatever it is. When any of those aren't in line, it's a struggle. And sometimes we're in the wrong environment to be fulfilling what's right for us from a values perspective. And that's very much where I found my career was, it was, and it didn't matter what I did to change that environment. The important bit was never in line. So I had to do something about it. And so what I had to do is change my behaviors, which to me meant my job role, which meant change my skills and capabilities to something that fitted with what was then in alignment. And now it's in alignment, it makes a huge difference. So you're absolutely right. The great thing about knowing a little bit about where you want to go, and below beliefs and values sits who we are as a person and our mission and our vision. So even lower is the bigger stuff. But when you're in line with what's important to you, then it is exactly about the behaviors, because you make decisions based on a clear concept of where you want to be. And you can say, is this going to help me or hinder me? Is this going to get me further away from or closer towards what I want? And then you've got a framework to make decisions within.
Yeah,
and that's powerful.
It is so much, and it's one of the things I remember, even though we hadn't been in contact for a long time about you. It was so strong. You were so clear on your goals that even many years ago, I always knew you wanted to be in coaching, because that was all you talked about. That was all you talked about when we were at Ericsson together. You were a PM at the time. I was like, oh yeah, coaching. I don't even think we had a conversation where you didn't talk about coaching. And this must have been,
oh man,
nearly
sorry,
10 years. Nearly 10 years ago now, or maybe, I don't know, maybe not quite 10, but you had that focus so early on in your career, which I think to this day just blows me away. And to see what you've created with Flying Changes Mindset, I'm not surprised, because that's been your focus from day one.